Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel again. So I've just decided to hop on here to react on a video I've just watched on Lynn Ngugi's channel. So she was interviewing a lady called Elizabeth about her relationship, how she got into it, how she survived it, and what the future has in store for her. So this lady gave an account of how she was brought up. Well, her mom and her dad got married in church, and they ended up having 8 kids, but they lived a very hard life. I think they had financial problems. So there was a lot of strife in the family. So as a result of the problems they were facing, their father used to violate her mother, though their mother tried her best to shield the kids from the toxic relationship. But then it got to a point whereby she had to give up on the marriage. Yeah. So after giving up, she had to fend for her kids by herself. And then she ended up getting depressed and getting hospitalized for it. Yeah. So afterwards, her aunt, who's the mother's sister, took over raising the 8 siblings. But she also lived a rough life under the aunt. And she ended up running away from her auntie's house when she was only 8. She said one day after school, she just didn't go back home. She decided to go to some sugar plantation and actually spent the night there. And then, like the next day or 2 days afterwards, she went to a church to ask for help. The help wasn't forthcoming, but the caretaker of the church was kind of looking out for her because he was feeding her. Then she ended up living there for like 3 weeks. And because nothing was happening, she went to a convent. I don't know whether it was nearby the church. It must have been. So she went to the convent to ask for help, but the sisters kind of brushed her off. But then because she was very adamant, she actually slept at the entrance of the convent. The sisters decided to take her in, gave her some accommodation, food. Then she told them she wanted to be taken to school, which they did. So they organized for her to go to a boarding school. And then by this time, her mother was living with her grandmother. She had been discharged from hospital, but she was at her mother's, that is Elizabeth's grandmother's. Yeah. So she actually spent most of her time in the boarding school. Then during holidays, she would go to her grandmother's to link up with her mother. And while she was in school, her other siblings, the older siblings, were fending for themselves because by this time their father had given up on them. And because apparently he had started other families, so he didn't care about their welfare. So anyway, after she finished high school, the nuns actually helped her enroll in a university, Catholic university, because I think it has affiliations with the Catholic Church. She managed to get scholarships, so she went to Catholic University, graduated, then started teaching. Then in the process, there's a man who was like pursuing her. Yeah, the man was so adamant. He used to like wait for her where she used to reside. And he was so persistent. He was like turning up every time the girl was coming home. He would find him at the entrance. But then that time, because she was dating somebody else, she didn't give in to him. Yeah. But then this other person who she was seeing ended up being relocated to work in Nigeria, I think. Then because of that long distance stress, I think their relationship fizzled out. So she remembered this other guy who was very persistent, so she decided to give in to him. Then by this time, she had stopped teaching. She got a job at some Greek company at Upper Hill as a research assistant or something. But because it seems like that job was paying her well. So by this time, she managed to move out of the hostels she was residing at. She rented like a one-bedroom house and managed to actually open a business on the side. And so anyway, life seemed like it was on the up and up. Yeah. But then, because this man had decided to bulldoze his way into her life, he decided, he's gonna tell her how he loves her, wants to start a family with her, though he was not financially stable. Yeah. So he told the lady, okay, because I'm not financially stable and I cannot afford to pay your dowry, why don't we do this? Why don't you have my baby? And then we can start life, and then I'll pay your dowry later on. So the girl agreed. So she got pregnant. And then the man decided to start having a say in everything she was venturing into. So the first thing he did was convince her to leave her job. So because he was saying he's the man, he's supposed to be the breadwinner. So he convinced her to leave the job. But that time he had also convinced her to move from her one-bedroom house to his bedsitter, which is obviously smaller than where she was. And then he gave her instructions to get rid of all her belongings. Because she's a woman, she's not supposed to have any property in a man's house. So she did that. She sold off her belongings, packed her clothes, moved in with a man. Then afterwards, that's when he convinced her to quit her job. Then after some time, because that business she was doing on the side had an employee, he decided to tell her to fire that employee and do the work herself. Yeah, so it kind of disrupted the business because that employee was actually the one who knew the ins and outs of the business, knew the customers more than the actual owner, because the employee used to spend more time at the business from Monday to Friday. And then Elizabeth would only work there over the weekends. So he did that. But then after some time, I don't know what happened. I think they started having financial hardships because obviously the man's job was not reliable. So he would ask for all the money, all the savings the girl had. He started intimidating her, forcing her to withdraw funds. Yeah. So she ended up accumulating rent arrears for the business premises. So after some time, the landlord lost patience, repossessed her equipment, shut the shop. So the business just went like that. So anyway, afterwards, she became totally reliant on this man who was very unreliable. Then now he started abusing her properly, emotionally. Yeah. So if you want to watch the full story, I'm going to link Lynn Ngugi's videos at the bottom of this page so you can have the full story. So the reason why I decided to react to that video is just to point out that, I've seen some comments where people are wondering why this girl was not leaving this man. But you see, the man emotionally abused her, ripped her of her power because she had no financial power by that time, because he had told her to quit all her jobs. Yeah. So he could manipulate her, humiliate her. He obviously did a number on her self-esteem. And then because she came from a family, a not well-to-do family, I think the man took advantage of that. So from that interview, you can see the man actually never even introduced the lady to his folk. By the time she was having that first child, she never even got to know who his people were. Yeah. So I just wanted to highlight what people were complaining about in the comments, claiming that, oh, she should have just left the minute that man decided to show his true colors. But you see, the problem is when a person is emotionally abused, they kind of feel trapped because they are in fear, because this man actually instilled fear in her. He made an attempt of deleting her several times. He threatened her and actually physically tried to delete her on more than one occasion. So I think she was very fearful, because I think he had warned her that if she ever tried to leave him, he would make sure he deletes her before she makes it. And then she kind of felt guilty, because the man wrongs you and then makes you feel guilty and makes you actually apologize for what he has done. Because from the interview, there was like 2 or 3 occasions whereby he had seriously violated her. And then the funny thing is, he ends up making her feel as if she was the one at fault. So she had to be the one to make apologies to him. Yeah. And then also the girl was isolated because the man was in control of who she's in contact with. So obviously she couldn't tell people exactly what's going on. And then because he had managed to make her depend on her totally, she was so attached to him, and she thought that's how love is supposed to be. Yeah. So there's some like 2 occasions whereby she managed to like go to her people, but then the man would switch talk her, and then she'd go back again, hoping that the situation would change for the better. So she was still hopeful that things would change. But then the last straw came when he tried to delete her by pressing an iron rod on her neck. Huh? So I think that incident made her to cry for help, something which she hadn't done before. So when other people came to rescue her, I think the guy got frightened. Then he took a few things and ran off. And the girl has never heard from him since. But then it doesn't mean that he has given up, because it seems like there's something wrong psychologically with this man. So anyway, when she gave her account on Lynn's channel, she was so emotional. I can tell the girl really needs some intensive therapy to get her right. So anyway, I hope she's going to get the help she needs and bounce back from that, because she has 2 kids who depend on her. And as for that man, I think he needs to be prosecuted for all the crimes he has committed on her, so that he serves as an example to guys who think of and guys who some perpetrators who do the same things he's doing to this girl. So I hope she heals, because her kids are so young, and it seems like their father is not stable, so he can't be relied on to raise the kids. And it's such a shame, because they are boys. They need a father figure to show them how to be a man. But from what this guy has been doing, I don't think he's an ideal person. I don't think he can be a role model to anyone, even strangers. Yeah. So anyway, I wish her the best. And if you want to watch the whole story, like I said before, I'm going to put the links to Lynn Ngugi's channel at the bottom of this page, so you can have a full picture of what I've just talked about. So I'll end it there. As usual, like this video, share it. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing to my channel to help my channel grow. And I hope to see you again on the next video. Bye for now.